Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm going to be talking about all of my penguin black spines, which are obviously these. So this is the next episode in my bookshelf tour series. I have been slowly going through my book collection. If you are new here, I have a whole playlist on my channel of all of my bookshelf tour videos that I have done so far. The first one is an overview if you want to see all of the books that I have, but not in a lot of depth, and then every video, every episode, I go more in depth with particular editions or sections of my bookshelves. And now we are on to my Penguin Black Spine classics. I have most of them on my desk because I use them kind of as display pieces, also because my bookshelves were overflowing, and I really like how they look all stacked up together on my desk. So most of this video is going to be me just showing you how I have them on my desk, but I do have some of them in my Russian literature section because I did want my Russian books to be in my Russian literature section. So anyway, I am so excited. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I like about them, how they are formatted, the contents, and if I think you should have them in your collection as well. I, spoiler alert, love these. There's a reason why I have so many of them, and also I feel like their range is so huge. They have almost every classic book you can imagine in these editions, and they have fantastic contents and great introductions, great textual notes. I love them, and I definitely think you should collect them, so I'm really excited to show you guys which ones I have. Honestly, they're not really in any particular order, or I don't even think I have them alphabetical anymore, so this is a very authentic look into my book stacks. Okay, my window is over here and the lighting might look weird, so I apologize for that. The lighting in this room is very weird because I just have one window and the sun is slowly going on the other side of my house, so anyway, don't mind the lighting. So this is my first stack, and then my other stack is in the corner, and then my computer is here. I have an L-shaped desk. I also always have a candle burning in the corner because I love candles. Candles are a necessity for any room for me. Like I said, I do have some on my bookshelves, but anyway, I'm going to show you guys these a little bit closer, tell you which ones I have, show you which ones I have, and then I'll go a little bit in depth of what is inside and how I like them and the format and everything. So let's get a closer look. Okay, this is the first stack. It is next to my little container of pencils and pens and my art supplies, my two sketchbooks, and then this framed postcard of Walt Whitman's birthplace. The first one I have is A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle. I've actually never read any of the Sherlock Holmes books, and so I bought the first one because I would like to get to them at some point. Next we have The Lady of the Camellias by Alexandre Dumas Fils. This is Alexandre Dumas's son. It's also a new translation. That's something that's so great about the Penguin Black Spines is they have fantastic translators, and they really care about who they have writing the forwards and the translations and the introductions. They always put it on the covers as well. And don't they look so good together? I just love how they look. Okay, this is where we're getting a little weird. Like, I don't know why this Charles Dickens book is not with my other Charles Dickens Black Spines, but anyway, this one is Martin Chuzzlewit by Charles Dickens, of course. Emma and I ended up DNFing it, so I apologize. This is probably my least favorite Dickens so far, which is so sad, but I definitely will be keeping it in my collection just because at some point, if I want to go back and try to reread it or actually finish it. And I also would love to have a complete collection of Dickens books, and I do love them in the Black Spines. I do have a lot of Dickens's books in the Black Spines. The next book is Belle Amie by Guy de Maupassant. Apologies for my horrible French accent. I really love this cover. Also, if you ever wonder what the paintings are or what the covers are, they always have them on the back. I don't know much about Belle Amie, but I am very excited. I do want to get more into French literature and also just literature from all countries. Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. I started reading this. I didn't finish it. I'm almost done, but I have really been enjoying it. I think that it's a fantastic look into this time period and the perspective that she gives. I'm going to move this stack because I think it's making a shadow. Anyway, this is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I know that Wilkie Collins was good friends with Charles Dickens, and I've heard some good things about this book. I don't know too much about it, but I definitely want to read it at some point of its metamorphoses. I am slowly working my way through these stories, but I haven't finished it yet, so I definitely want to keep reading it and prioritize it a bit more. It's just such a fantastic collection of stories that influenced so much art and so much literature. Then we have one of my favorite books ever, and that is Cervantes' Don Quixote. I love this book so much. I cannot recommend you read it enough. I was really nervous about reading it because it's a classic. I think people consider this the first novel, which is so fascinating to me, and it's just every emotion in a classic. I love it so much. Can't recommend it enough. Then the last one on the stack is probably my most daunting book, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. So many of you have told me that it's one of your favorites and that you love it. I would really love to read it. It's just so long, and I don't know. I'm nervous, but I want to do it, but I'm nervous. So anyway, that is the last one in this random stack of books. Again, there is no rhyme or reason to how I have these stacked. I probably should organize them a little bit better, but clearly that is not a priority of mine. And there we have it. Okay, so here is the next stack. I do have some of the Penguin modern classics, and then I also have some Pan Macmillan Collector's Library books, but those are the older editions, so I'm not going to be going through, well, I could just show you them because it's part of the stack. I'm not going to go in depth. I already have a video on the newer Pan Macmillans, which I can link in the video somehow, and I also have my microphone, which I record my voiceovers with, and 2 candles. This one is from a company that's called Milk, so they put them in these adorable little glass milk bottles, and I remember someone commented saying that they thought that it was actual milk until I lit it, because I had it in one of my vlogs. I'm lactose intolerant, so it's definitely not milk. I don't just have milk casually around. And then this other one I haven't lit yet, but it is from the company Farm and Sea, and it's ginger and nutmeg, and I got it recently, and I'm very excited. I love candles. I'm obsessed with candles. This one is also called Spiced Apple Cider, so I've been having it for the autumnal season. I've been loving it. It smells so good. Clearly, it's almost done. So anyway, I will move it out of the way so that we can see the books. Okay, I put my big ceiling light on because it's getting a little bit darker in here because the sun is moving, so I hope that the lighting is okay. Anyway, the first one we have is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. Then we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Then we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then we have Hamlet by William Shakespeare. These first 2 on the right, we have The Blacker the Berry by Wallace Thurman. And then the next one we have is Nella Larsen's Passing, which I'm very excited to hopefully read soon. Okay, now I'm going to work my way through this big middle stack. So the first one on top I have The Marquis of O and Other Stories by Henrik von Kleist. The Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I'm Italian, so I should know this. This is another quite a long classic. Don't know when I'm going to get to it, but definitely want to read it at some point in my life. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and Other Jazz Age Stories. I love F. Scott Fitzgerald's novels, so I'm excited about reading more of this. John Steinbeck's The Moon is Down. I love Steinbeck's writing. I haven't read this one. I'm so excited to hopefully read it soon. Edith Wharton's Ethan Frome. I love this book. It's so great. It's short and it's very impactful, and the ending, I will never get over the ending. It's just incredible, and a very good winter book if you are looking for a short classic for the winter. The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. Now we're getting into my Dickens books, so I should put Martin Chuzzlewit with the other Dickens books that I have. Also, do you see, like, this makes no sense. I have Thomas Hardy in the middle of these Dickens books. I don't know why. Next is Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist, which we also read for the Dickens vs. Tolstoy book club, and another fantastic Dickens book. I feel like the more time away from it, the more that I appreciate it in a way. This is going to fall over. so I don't know how to make that not fall over. We're just gonna move these. Next is The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which is Charles Dickens' last unfinished novel, and I'm so excited to eventually read this, but I want to save it until my last Dickens book, and I just feel like that's just such a sad thought, especially since it's a mystery, and the mystery is never really solved because he wasn't able to finish it. Then we have my favorite Charles Dickens book, and that is Great Expectations. I love this edition. It's secondhand, so this is not from me, it's actually from the person that I bought it from, but I love this edition so much, and I don't think it's in print anymore. I just love the painting that is on the cover. Most of the Charles Dickens books that are published now are in this style, which you guys have seen, and although I like it because it's from the original illustrations, the ink illustrations, I like it, but I really love when they have paintings on the covers if you want to try to get these secondhand. The next one is Thomas Hardy's Selected Poems. I love Thomas Hardy's novels. I am slowly working my way through his poetry. He's such a fantastic poet. I definitely want to read more of his poetry. Again, and we have another Charles Dickens. I don't know why they're not together, but this is the Pickwick Papers. Again, same with the newer covers. They're okay. I just don't love them. Then we have Evelina by Frances Burney. I have never read any of her books. Sometimes I like getting the Penguin Black Spines, even if I don't know much about the book itself. I'm just excited to grow this collection and also maybe find some hidden gems of classics that you don't really hear too much about. The next one is Henrik Ibsen's Peer Gynt and Brand. I don't know much about Henrik Ibsen. I haven't read any of his plays before, but I definitely want to, so that's why I got this particular edition. If you guys have read Henrik Ibsen, I would love to know which of his works you recommend starting with or reading. I just moved it so that I could keep leaning the books on the stack, but anyway, the next book is The Sorrow of Young Werther by, I think it's Goethe? Is that how you say his name? Johann Wolfgang von Goethe? I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wanting to read it for a while, but I know that it's supposed to be super depressing. Let me know if you guys think that I should prioritize it or not. Next, I have The Letters of Vincent van Gogh, who is my favorite painter. Love him so much. I love learning about his life. I have read some of his letters, but I haven't read all of them, and that is definitely something I want to do, so I love this collection. I love the painting that they chose for the cover as well, and I love that Penguin Classics has this as a publication. It's so wonderful as an art history nerd and a book nerd. It's just so great, and I'm very excited to read this one. Next I have Giovanni, I don't know how to say his last name, Verga? He's Italian. I feel like I should know. Anyway, the collection is a collection of stories. Cavalleria Rusticana and other stories. Again, don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am from Italian descent, but I can't speak Italian, which is so sad, so apologies for my pronunciation. I've been wanting to read more Italian literature. I feel like I keep saying that in my videos. Then I have Fernando Pessoa's The Book of Disquiet. So many people love this book. I did receive this from a viewer and a friend, and I'm so excited to read it, so thankful to have received it, and I have heard amazing things about this book, heard amazing things about Fernando Pessoa, so I really want to read this. I just don't know when. Then the next book I have is Emile Zola's, don't know how to properly pronounce her name, I think it's Teresa, but I think that there's a French pronunciation. I really want to read Zola. Don't really know where to start. If you love Zola, if you have read Zola, definitely let me know where you think I should start. I would really love that. Then we have All My Sons by Arthur Miller. I haven't read All My Sons, but I have read Death of a Salesman, which I think is probably his most famous play. It's quite depressing. It's not my favorite, so I haven't been super inclined to pick up All My Sons. I really like The Crucible by Arthur Miller. I have that in the Penguin Modern Classics edition, but I do appreciate Arthur Miller's work, and I see the value in it and the merit in it, but they're not my absolute favorite, but I do enjoy reading them, if that makes any sense. Then we have one of my favorite plays. It is 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose. I love the movie as well of 12 Angry Men, and it's just such a fantastic story. I read it for the first time in high school, and that was one of the things that I read in high school and I really loved, and I still love it to this day. It's just a fantastic story. Then I have John Steinbeck's Once There Was a War. Again, love John Steinbeck. Now we're getting into one of my favorite writers, which is E.M. Forster. This is Maurice, one of my favorite books, or Morris. I love it. I love E.M. Forster so much. I cannot recommend reading his books enough. Next is Aspects of the Novel by Forster. This is a nonfiction of a collection of lectures that he gave at Cambridge. They are fantastic. They're all about being a writer, but especially being a reader, and the books that have influenced Forster, and it's just such a wonderful insight from a writer that I love about other books that I also love. He talks about Tolstoy and Dostoevsky and Charles Dickens and Jane Austen and a bunch of amazing classic writers that we all know and love, and it's so wonderful to see it from his perspective and to hear what he has to say about the novel form. It's just such a beautiful book. Next is The Longest Journey by Forster. This one I feel like I never hear anybody talk about, but this was actually Forster's favorite of his own works. So I have been really wanting to read this book for a while. I hopefully will get to it sooner rather than later, but the next book I also really want to read, so I don't know when I'm going to prioritize which one. That next one is A Passage to India. I know so many people love this book. It's one of Forster's probably best known and best loved and best selling of his books, so I really want to read it. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I'll probably read A Passage to India before The Longest Journey, but I do really want to read The Longest Journey. So anyway, that's A Passage to India. The second to last book is The Epic of Gilgamesh, and I bought this book because one of my favorite actors and singers, Johnny Flynn, co-wrote his latest album with one of my favorite naturalists, Robert Macfarlane, and a lot of the songs, most of the songs, were based off of The Epic of Gilgamesh, and I love the stories in the songs. I love that album so much. It's called Lost in Cedarwood, and it's so good, and it really made me want to read The Epic of Gilgamesh. Then the last book I have is Sophocles' The Three Theban Plays. I got this such a long time ago, and I want to read it, but I'm a bit daunted by it. Then I have my Penguin Modern Classics. They're just like the Penguin Black Spines, except they are newer publications. They have pretty much similar contents and background and introductions and all of that, so I'm just gonna make them part of this video, but I'll run through which ones I have. First, I have Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. This is such a fantastic book, and I definitely want to read more from Shirley Jackson. Then I have Arthur Miller's The Crucible. This is such a fantastic play. Again, like I was saying before about Arthur Miller, I have very conflicting feelings about him as a writer and a playwright, but I do really like The Crucible. Then I have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and then one of my favorite books, especially for the autumnal season, that is Patrick Susskind's Perfume, The Story of a Murderer. It's one of those books that will stay in your brain and you won't be able to stop thinking about, or you won't be able to unread, but in the best way. It is just so crazy and weird and kind of gross, but in a really interesting way. Then I have John Kennedy Toole's A Confederacy of Dunces. Next, I have Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time, Volume 1, The Way by Swans. I really want to read Swan's Way and the In Search of Lost Time series. I am just very intimidated, which I feel like most people feel that way about Swan's Way. I want to read it. Will I read it? Yes. When will I read it? I have no idea. I'm totally going to butcher his last name, but we have Hans Faladas, Alone in Berlin. Is that how you say his last name? I don't know. I don't know much about this book, but I'm really intrigued by it. I bought it a while ago because I just found it at my independent bookshop, and I read the back and it sounded really interesting. So if you have read this book, let me know what you think about it and if I should prioritize it. It's so bad. I want to read so many books, but I don't know when I will read them. Then I have On the Road by Jack Kerouac. This was kindly given to me by one of my friends and viewers, Max. So thank you so much, Max. I've never read any of his books before. It's one of those classics that I've been wanting to read for a really long time, but I haven't prioritized. So let me know if you think I should prioritize it. That is mainly what I'm getting out of this video, is just asking you guys which books I should read. Then I have Evelyn Waugh's Brideshead Revisited. This is such a wonderful, kind of a slow burn book. They call it the Cambridge novel because it's following our main character and his friend at Cambridge, and also it has aspects of war. It is just such a fantastic book that really touches on a lot of topics. It's quite a slow burn, but I really love it, and I love this edition. I think it's so beautiful. Then my last Penguin Modern is one of the older versions, and that is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I have been wanting to read The Grapes of Wrath or East of Eden for literal months, and I just keep not reading them. So I need to read them. I will, hopefully soon, probably not, but I do really want to. So those are all of the books in the corner stack. Now I'm going to very quickly run through which ones I have in my Russian literature section. The first is in my Tolstoy section, and those are these three, as well as this one. You guys know this one very well. It is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, my very well-loved and well-thumbed edition. This is my favorite book of all time. If you haven't read it, please read it. It's just a requirement for watching my videos, is you have to read Anna Karenina. I'm just kidding, but you should. Then I have The Cossacks and Other Stories, and The Death of Ivan Ilyich and Other Stories, and Tolstoy's first novel, Childhood, Boyhood, Youth. Now we're moving further to the right of my Russian literature section. The first one I have is a collection of Chekhov's plays. Then we have this beast, which is The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is one of the most highly recommended books on my channel. Literally everyone has told me to read this book. I definitely want to. I don't know when, but I definitely want to. Okay, that's The Brothers Karamazov. Then I have Fyodor Dostoevsky's Poor Folk and Other Stories. If you've been following my Russian literature series, you guys know I have read Poor Folk, but I haven't read the rest of the stories. I love Dostoevsky, as you guys probably know, and I'm excited to read more of his stories and more of his novels. Okay, and there we have it. Those are all of my Penguin Black Spines. Now I will just tell you a little bit about them and the contents, the forwards, the introductions. I figured I would show you guys in particular Anna Karenina just because this is a perfect example of what is inside and what you can look for, because what is in here is usually in what is in most of the Black Spines. When you first open it up, you have the contents page, obviously, which is what I will be highlighting mostly. So the first thing we have is a preface, then an introduction, translator's note, further reading, list of principal characters, and then we have the start of the book, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then notes at the end of the book. So that is usually what is in these specific editions, depending on if it's a translation, depending on how much background they go into it, if there should be a translator's note, if it is translated. They're just really fantastic, and the amount of research that goes into them, the amount of extra material that they give you. I also know that some of Tolstoy's books have a chronology, and they have a little bit about his life. They tell you what he did in what particular year, and they go into a lot of depth with that as well. But again, it really depends on what the book is and how much extra information they give you. They usually give you a lot of extra information. I think if you are interested in classics that not only are beautiful editions, they wear really well, they do get creased and you do get some wear in them, but for some reason I love the way that these books look when they're really worn and they look really well read. I just love how the spines look all cracked, and if the page gets bent a little bit, I don't think it's the end of the world. I actually really like how it looks because it looks like it's really well read, and I just love that. My other books, like my cloth bounds, I don't even touch because I don't want them to have a single mark on them. So it really depends on the edition, obviously, but these ones I really love how they look all worn and well read and like with a bunch of tabs on the sides. That's just something that might be personal to me, but I just thought that I would let you guys know. I would compare these to the Oxford World's Classics editions because they have really great textual information and additional information on the text, as well as they wear really well. You can kind of throw them around and they won't get like dinged up, or if they do get dinged up and bent and worn, I really like how that looks, but that's particular with what kind of reader you are and if you like when they stay pristine or not. They do crack pretty easily. The page quality is really great. The margins are great for annotating. These are fantastic books to annotate, as well as the Oxford World's Classics editions. But I don't have a lot of the Oxford World's Classics editions because I feel like you either prefer the Penguin or the Oxfords. For me, I prefer the Penguins, but I know Emma prefers the Oxford World's Classics editions. I'm 99.9% sure that's true. I prefer the Penguin Black Spines aesthetically, and also just, I don't know, there's something about the quality of the book that I just like a little bit more. But anyway, that is what I have to say about the actual editions. They're just great all around. I think they're fantastic books, which is why I have so many of them, and I can't wait to keep growing my collection. Again, almost every classic under the sun is published in the Penguin Black Spine, so you really can't go wrong, and they look so great together. I really love how they look together. One thing that I don't love that I do want to point out, I'll go get it. It's that they reformatted them so that this is my edition of Passing by Nella Larson, so you guys can see that it's a little bit different. This white strip is thicker, the text is a little bit different, and the penguin is no longer in a circle. So these are the two editions, so you guys can see how different they are. I really prefer this style over this style, but that's again personal preference. I really love these way more, so I will try to keep collecting this edition more specifically than these ones. But again, I mean, they're beautiful and they're very similar. It's very picky, but I just prefer these ones. So anyway, that's up to you which ones you prefer, if that bothers you or not. I think this is the only one that I have that's in the newer format, so it doesn't bother me too much. I don't know, I just prefer these a little bit more. Alright, so I think that is all that I wanted to tell you guys about the Penguin Black Spines. I hope that this video was helpful or informative, or you guys like to see which books I have in my stacks. I would love to know if you like the Penguin Black Spines, if you collect them, maybe which ones you have. Let me know which of the books that I haven't read I should prioritize. That is like #1. If you could let me know that, that would be amazing, because I am thinking about my future reading plans, not only for the end of the year, but also for 2023, which is so crazy to think that December is right around the corner and then it's going to be 2023 and then we're going to have a whole new reading year. So yes, let me know which books you think I should prioritize. Let me know what you think about these editions. I would love to know if you prefer the Penguins or the Oxford's World's Classics. Definitely let me know that, because my vote would be for the Penguin Black Spines. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, hope that it was helpful, and I look forward to continuing my bookshelf collection. I think my next one might be just to go through my entire classics collection, because I don't know if I can break it down anymore. I feel like this was the last specific editions video that I wanted to do. Unless you want me to do any other video in my bookshelf tour series, let me know what you guys want. Alright, I'm going to stop rambling now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a fantastic day reading some amazing books, and I will see you soon in another video. Happy reading.